Welcome in, everyone. It is another edition of the Full-Time Roundup podcast. It is your host, Daniel Brackett, joined alongside me, Harrison Clark. Harrison, did not get to see you this weekend, but did you enjoy yourself?
Um, mm, Not really, because Saturday I was at the alma mater watching my UNC football team get destroyed by James Madison in a worse fashion than even Charlotte did. So um, Charlotte might have us now in football, which is just crazy to say. Um, Other than the afternoon of Saturday, yes, it was a solid weekend. Watched as much footy as I could. But other than that, yeah, it was solid.
Yeah. Other than college sports, because North Carolina had a pretty rough weekend. I go to Charlotte, or I went to Charlotte. My dad went to Chapel Hill, and my brother goes to State. All three football teams were absolutely blown out. So texted them on Sunday morning and just made sure the boys were accounted for in that term. But in terms of a sports weekend, other than that, which I was already expecting a blowout in terms of Charlotte. Charlotte FC won, the Panthers won, Liverpool won astoundingly. So it's pretty honestly the best sports weekend I've had in it's got to be a year plus, to be honest. So
That's pretty
it
solid.
was a really solid week. Monday hit and it wasn't as bad today as it usually is. Usually I'm upset about the Panthers or Charlotte FC sucking. Both teams really just performed well. I was actually able to attend the Charlotte FC match, and that was a really fun afternoon kickoff on Saturday. Beautiful weather too. So, but anyways, let's jump into kind of the biggest results of the week. We'll go ahead and start with obviously the heavy hitter. We probably won't cover this game that much in depth just because of the ramifications of what went on. But yes, I am talking about Manchester City versus Arsenal. First half was a lot of fun. Um, Holland opens up the scoring with a Savinho assist, and then Ricardo Calafiori with an absolute banger with his left foot to tie it up. Arsenal then score off a corner and make it 2-1, and then Leandro Trossard sent off the second Arsenal player sent off in two games for kicking the ball um, after the foul. Just completely took the wind out of the sails of the game. Second half was basically unwatchable, and of course, Manchester City get their equalizer late with a goal from John Stones.
Who
Harrison,
else?
who else other than blatant, blatant, horrifying refereeing, of course, going to City's favor? What else did you kind of notice in this match?
Um, I guess I didn't think it was going to be this high scoring. I mean, they came out of the gates flying. Obviously, Holland, that first goal, the seas just kind of parted for him.
What a ball, too.
Something that you really good ball, but it's something that you don't normally see from Gabriel and Saliba, who are so locked down at the back. And to be fair to them, I mean, the second half they defended unbelievably. Um, City obviously had the ball the entire time since Arsenal were on 10 men, but Arsenal, until literally the 98th minute, defended hard. Um, and then they switched off. They switched off for a second, and City decided to take the corner short. Grealish walks in, and you knew that it was going to be a problem when they were that close inside their own box. And Stones buries the rebound. I guess from the refereeing standpoint, again, like they just got to be consistent. Again, like if they're going to do it 2 games in a row, they got to do it for all the teams. They got to do it for everybody. Um, it's hard for me to kind of fathom that in a game of this magnitude that they would give a second yellow for that, especially when he kicked the ball as uh, as close to when the ref blew the whistle
It looked
as he
he
did.
was legit playing like the through ball. Like it was like
It was like right after the ref blew the whistle is when he kicked it. Like I thought it as close to it as it was that um, maybe he would get away with that. But I kind of feel bad for Arsenal, honestly, because obviously they had a 2-1 lead at the time. Fiori's goal was gorgeous, and he could be a serious problem if Arsenal, and it looks like they probably will starting him at left back now. But other than that, I guess both teams get a point here. City obviously would have loved to take advantage with the 10 men, but I feel a little hard done for Arsenal.
Yeah, the red card was showing shades of RVP back in the Champions League final days when he went on the counterattack and shot after the play was blown dead and got sent off. I think that was against Barcelona. Pretty sure it was the Champions League final. So, I mean, like you said, with this magnitude, probably the best game of the weekend. Of course, it's ruined in the first half. Just really annoying. Like you said, Ricardo Calafiori. I mean, the guy's a center back, kind of a left back, but if you've looked at his resume, he scores absolute bangers when he scores. And he scored some nice ones at Bologna last year, scored some good ones before. I think it was for Roma as an academy kid. So super impressed with him. The only thing I'll say, I'm just not big a fan of Arsenal or Mikel Arteta. Just like the fact that Mikel just trots out there and plays 4 center backs as his back line.
Yeah.
It's just diabolical. I mean, Calafiori, Gabriel, Saliba, and Ben White as your back 4.
Timber started.
Timber as well.
Timber started.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, that's 4 center back or 5 center backs, I guess, you've employed in one game. It just doesn't. Yeah, you're not going to concede many goals, but it's just not the football I'd want to watch personally. Now, it's a results business, so that's what matters most. But yeah, I think Pep and his men were really bailed out by the refereeing by Michael Oliver, who continues just to be a polarizing character. In terms of another big piece of news, seems like Rodri out for the season with an ACL. Can't really talk about how devastating that is for Manchester City. Yes, they've been winning games without him, and he just got back. But, I mean, we're talking about probably the best player in the world for a year plus now. So, they do have the depth to fill that void. But, are they more of a doubt for this title now that he's gone?
I would say yes. I think that he is, like you mentioned, he's arguably the best player in the world. And when you lose the best player in the world, you're not going to be able to replace him, regardless of the kind of depth that you have. Can Kovacic do a job in there? Yeah, probably. We've seen John Stones play 6 before. He'll probably have to do that some too.
Rico Lewis season. Pick him up in fantasy.
Put him in there. The Gundogan signing for the midfield looks like it's going to be even more impactful than we thought it would be. Even though he's getting starts right away. It's a massive loss for City, just with the amount of games that they're going to be playing too. You got a feeling that even with the depth they have, there will be some guys that are going to be getting run down throughout the season. So for sure, I think that it definitely is going to slow them from winning the title and make the race at the end even better, because I think with him in there, they're just so dominant. I mean, his track record is unbelievable. So I think it definitely opens something up for the contenders.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. And, those contenders will probably be Arsenal and Liverpool. Arsenal getting a big point, I guess. Still, you could say it's still a good point to have. And then in terms of Liverpool, they just absolutely wiped the floor with Bournemouth. It was over in the first half. So, pretty pleased with how Liverpool looked this weekend, no doubt. The other, probably the biggest other result that I saw that I'd like to talk about is Spurs played Brentford, and it was on my card. We talked about it in depth, but I really liked Brentford in this matchup. And I mean, it was the best case scenario start as they scored within like 3 minutes.
First minute.
First minute. Yeah, I couldn't remember how early it was, so I went with the conservative 3 minutes.
Good
But yeah, no,
call.
that game was a really fun watch. Just both teams just so wide open. I want to read you a stat here,
Sure, sure, sure,
Harrison.
sure. I love stats.
Tottenham rankings, average possession first in the Premier League, crosses first, passes into penalty area first, shots on target first, touches in the final third first, placement 10th. So the numbers aren't adding up here. Obviously, I think you should trust the process with Ange in winning this game. And the game midweek against Coventry is just so big for morale. So big. Because the goal, they just couldn't find the back of the net, but they've been playing well. And so
Mm-hmm.
they tied or lost this game to Brentford. I think, fans would start to turn a little bit. And I'm glad that Ange was able to get a good result here and maybe install some confidence in the boys.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm sure the thinking from the fans was extremely negative right away. I mean, you score a minute, or Brentford scores a minute into the game, and all of a sudden it's like, dear God, what is going on? But I mean, they righted the ship the rest of the way, and I think that Dominic Solanke being in there is going to be so crucial for Spurs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you mentioned all the stats, like they can't finish in the box, and you get to implement one of the best strikers in the Premier League back in there, and he gets his goal, his first for Tottenham.
Opens his account. These Premier League strikers are streaky, like we've mentioned. So
Yeah, I mean, look at Nicholas Jackson. But Solanke being in there, I think, is going to be so massive for Spurs. I think you mentioned the crosses that they're putting in there, everything. He's going to be on the end of a lot of those. And obviously at Bournemouth, he's had a good track record of putting them away. So the fact that they were able to get 3 out of this game, 3 goals and 3 points, obviously is massive for momentum to continue pushing. They needed this win. So well done, the Spurs.
you know who also opened their account? Brennan
Brent
Johnson.
Johnson.
Big game for him. I'm a big fan of his.
I
And I
like him
think
too.
him kind of getting off the board. I also like Kulusevski starting in midfield. Spurs just attacking wise just showed that a little bit more quality. James Madison obviously had a goal, which was big after a good season. So, even with an off day for Sonny, 2 assists, not too bad. He should have had himself a goal. And you look at the score and it's 3-1, and you're probably like, okay, that's about right. I mean, I would say that Brentford and Spurs both had numerous opportunities. Spurs, though, had more. Their XG was at 3.5, 23 shots total, 10 shots on target. Had almost open goals several times and just refused to shoot. So I still am concerned for Spurs and putting the ball in the back of the net. Maybe this will help spur that confidence, but you just got to put away your chances. And I feel like Brentford still had some momentum in this match almost all the way to the depth. They scored 1 goal. You could have seen Spurs kind of reeling and maybe giving up a lead. So I think both teams, it was a fun watch for the neutral, but both teams definitely have some things to work on in the future.
No question. I mean, that's the consistent theme with Spurs is they're going to get their opportunities, and especially against these teams who are going to be mid-table. Like these are the kind of games that they got to bury their chances, and they did this game. So we'll see if maybe that is a theme going forward, is that they are able to take care of their opportunities and able to bag these points, because them getting these draws and losses where they're dominating the game is just killer.
Absolutely, and they do play in the Europa League on Thursday, so we'll see how they fare against Karabag. This could be a good time to get the youngsters going, get some more goals for Solanke maybe. So we'll have to see. The last game I wanted to talk about in the Prem was Chelsea. You mentioned Nico Jackson earlier. Big win for Chelsea against West Ham at West Ham. Harrison, talk me through that game. West Ham just abysmal. Chelsea really good.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's a little bit of both. I think West Ham just really couldn't get anything going. Um, this is usually a fixture that gives Chelsea trouble, and it has over the years, is at West Ham in a London derby where hey, we've mentioned it before. They get the bubbles going, it's a problem.
Something about
But
the bubbles.
something about them. But Chelsea came out quick, and Jackson gets 2 in the first half. 2 really good goals too.
Really
Like
good goals.
his first goal, like from a tight angle, megs the keeper, and then the second goal was just really really nice build up, and Caicedo puts a nice through ball to him, and outside the foot puts it in. So that's obviously huge for him. Like consistency is everything for Nicholas Jackson. If he can put games together, then Chelsea become a serious problem. I think because you're seeing already they already have Sancho in the starting lineup, and he's looked very good his first couple games. Cole Palmer is always a threat. Scores the third goal
Banger.
in the second half, was a banger off the pipe and in. But I mean, I like what they're building right now. I think Maresca has them in a good headspace, and I like their attack in general. Just looks extremely solid in my opinion. I think Palmer pulling the strings, obviously, he's so much better as a cam than he is as a wing, as we've mentioned. Um, and you're getting, I think the guy that's standing out the most right now for this team is Moises Caicedo. He's been unbelievable as a 6, especially since the beginning of like this whole season so far. He's been excellent as a 6, putting in tackles. Like I mentioned, playing fantastic balls like the one he played to Jackson. Not used to getting good goalkeeping. That's 2 clean sheets in a row for Robert Sanchez.
Crazy.
So I know maybe we found a keeper even though we have 8 on the roster. So some positive signs for Chelsea going forward. I mean, 3-1-1 to start the year. I can't complain with that with the new manager. So for the youngest team in the league, it's a good start, and let's see if they can continue to build off of it.
Yeah, on the flip side, you got West Ham 1-1-3 to start out the season. Invested a lot in this squad. New coach with Lopetegui. You signed Somerville. You signed Fulkrug. Just to name a few. I'm trying to think of other signings that they've done, but they went and spent the money, and they have not gotten the results yet. 1-2 at home, especially, is not good, and I don't think the fans were very happy with this performance. Obviously, it's hilarious that David Moyes, now that he's gone, that fans might be missing David at this point. But I do think Lopetegui, they're in 14th, should probably tread lightly here. I could see another string of 2 more bad results, and he could be gone. So I wanted to quickly brainstorm what coaches would be best at West Ham, and my first thought was Edin Terzic. My second thought was Sergio Conceição. Bring him to the Premier League. Didn't realize he left Porto last year and is currently unemployed. I'd like to see him at West Ham. Those were my first 2 that I thought of right off the bat. Do you have any other coaches that would be fun?
I mean, we know a coach that has familiarity in London, and it's Thomas Tuchel.
Graham Potter too.
I don't know about Graham Potter, but
Thomas Tuchel.
Obviously, Tuchel is obviously the highest profile manager, I believe, right now that is available still. So
yeah,
if they wanted to make that kind of transition and bring him in, obviously he has familiarity with the Premier League. That could be an interesting choice. I think that it's just with West Ham that I think they really have three players that are going to excite you, and Bowen, Kudus, and I think Somerville is extremely exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, though, they just feel old to me and slow. Like I don't know what it is, but like even Edson Alvarez at center back, like dude does not look like he's doing it. Lucas Paqueta in the middle, he's not old by any means, but you know what you're going to get from him, like some skill and then nothing else.
Yeah.
So like you're left like Emerson, older. I don't know. I don't know what it is. They can't figure it out so far. Long season ahead. Still haven't really implemented Fulkrug a whole lot. So maybe that changes some things when you actually get a 9 in there, because mentioning old, like Mikel Antonio, dude has been there for a long time and is just not good. So they need to figure it out, because obviously this is still a talented squad. Like we loved what they did in the offseason. So yeah, it remains to be seen, I think, in these next couple games, what their outlook is.
Yeah, I think that was some really good insight. Other couple other games that I wanted to mention. I also mirrored Terzic and Clinton Sal just based off, like parking the bus and then counterattacking. That just fits their styles as a West Ham
does.
team. They're not going to be, and so is Thomas Tuchel as well. They're not going to be on the front foot with possession. So that's why I like those hires now. I'm sure there's other guys we could think of here, but I did want to give that a shout. Also, in terms of the relegation battle, continues to heat up. Both drew 1-1, Everton and Leicester, Ipswich and Southampton. About as terrible as you think it would be. So not going to really touch on the games. Just I thought that was an interesting result for all four teams. Southampton went up, Ipswich tied it late, which was pretty electric. I was watching that game. And then I think Leicester tied it up somewhat late, and we're kind of knocking on the door. So, fun games all around.
Everyone's got a point now.
Everyone's got a point. Everyone's off the board. Congratulations. We're right back exactly where we started there. Just everyone has 1 point more. So not really much to learn. Everton are still bad. All those teams are still just horrible. Bundesliga, biggest game. And I'll go with, my guys, Leverkusen. Dramatic game over Wolfsburg, 4-3. They went down, I think it was 2-1. Or no, 2-1? 3-2? 3-2. 3-2
They're up
at half.
2-1 and down 3-2.
Yeah, just a dramatic roller coaster game. And then comes back, and of course, you guessed it, a 93rd minute winner. I mean, Harrison, it's just gotten to the point where once that clock strikes 90 and if they're not winning, you know that they're going to score again. Like you actually, in the heart of hearts, you're like, there's no way this game ties.
It's ridiculous.
It's insane. It's happened for a year and some change now where they've scored double digits times in extra time. This time it comes from Victor Boniface. I mean, just absolutely ridiculous. And Wolfsburg didn't help themselves with the red card, but last week we said, okay, maybe Bayer Leverkusen have figured out their defense. Obviously not, conceding 3 goals, but I'll tell you right now, they know how to score goals, and they've just continued to smash, 3 to 4 goals a game. They're just hitting at an insane clip. By the way, 7 shots on target with 4 goals, just clinical.
Yeah, I mean, their scoring record so far this year has been sensational. They're bagging goals like crazy. I think that, like we hinted that maybe their defense was figured out. Maybe that's more of a indictment on Feyenoord hasn't figured it out after Arne Slot. Like, they're just not good.
Oh, they're not good at all.
Yeah, they're bad. They're bad. And the Eredivisie is bad, and they're like still 6th. So yeah, this game, I knew once Wolfsburg got the red and the game was tied, I was like, oh my God, they're gonna score again. So you just get that gut feeling with them. It's crazy. Like, and it's almost like I expect it now. I just expect them when the game is either tied or they're down a goal that they will score and in stoppage time. So for those live bettors out there, if you haven't hopped on the trends already, I mean, that's a pretty good one. But yeah, they're crazy to watch, man.
Yeah. 3 games in a row with 4+ goals scored. Pretty ridiculous.
Florian's going pretty good right now.
Florian is just on fire. He's had 4 goals and 1 assist just in the Bundesliga alone. That's not even including his 2 goals against Feyenoord. I do think that the defense is you get rid of Kosunu, who is an integral part. This guy named Beloshan, he's 19 years old. He hasn't exactly had a great start. Hincapié hasn't. He's been okay. So, I mean, I'm sure that once they have more continuity, this team will look better.
They honestly played like a B lineup.
They did. Cause after they rested Andrik and rested Frempong and rested Terrier and Boniface.
Yeah.
So I guess they did win with a B lineup, which was still pretty impressive. But they're just continue to be, really fun in terms of the story.
They just got Palacios back too.
I mean, they're just stacked. They're gonna have to sell
mean,
someone at some point. But the other game that I wanted to talk about, Stuttgart versus Dortmund. Stuttgart absolutely humiliate Dortmund. I was with a Dortmund fan, and they were not happy. Guirassy scores against his former side, but at what cost to get beat by 5? Undav, the guy who kind of replaced him as the main man, scores 2 goals. And Dortmund just defensively were an absolute nightmare. Absolute nightmare. This game was over before it even began. And Sahin is given kind of a reality check here after their win against Bruges. Schlotterbeck at left back, pretty interesting there. Did not have a good game. I'm trying to think of what else to think of. Lucas Nemecha got injured, not Lucas. Felix Nemecha got injured in this game, so obviously not great. And we're seeing some terrorism tactics here. This is 2 weeks in a row we've seen Sabitzer start on the right wing. Please make it stop. JMB has come off the bench and scored or assisted in 2 games in a row. Give him the start.
I was literally about to say the exact same thing. Why the hell is this kid not starting?
It's crazy.
I mean, certainly a reality check. It is funny that the 2 wingmen for Stuttgart last year put 3 in the back of the net. But it's just that's a tough one for Dortmund. Like you squeak by Bruges in the Champions League, and then you get pumped by Stuttgart at their place. Like, not the most ideal week, in my opinion, for them. So we'll see if they can bounce back. I don't even know who they play next, but I think they play they played Bochum.
Big bounce
So
back game,
you expect them to lay the hammer down, I would say, on Friday when they do play them. But Stuttgart, again, you got to give their props. Like, they've looked very good to start this season. I mean, their performance, I keep going back to it, is at Madrid was so impressive. They were in that game. Honestly, should have gotten more from that game, even though they did end up losing 3-1. They were the better team. So super impressed with them. Both of them kind of a middling start, I would say, but they'll both be in contention for the top 4, obviously, at the end.
Yeah. In terms of a team that should probably be in the top 4, but are not, they're 5th now. RB Leipzig tie St. Pauli away from home. And, we got rid of one coach who just infuriates me all the time, which was Terzic. And I cannot believe that Leipzig in 2024 are still sticking with Marco Rose. You have Benjamin Sesko, you have Xavi Simons, you have Openda. You got all these guys in midfield who are like really bright prospects. Nusa just was signed. Silva. I mean, you have a ton of players, and you're telling me you can't put one against a newly promoted side, and they also dominated you in XG, and honestly, in the match probably had the better chances. Just ridiculous. And I know that they did. Did they lose to Atletico? Did they tie?
They lost.
They lost. So, and then before that, they tied Union Berlin. So, I mean, I don't just call for people's heads after a couple bad results usually, but I'm just pretty tired of this experiment here. I need to see some fresh blood in terms of a coach at Leipzig. I can't watch them much longer.
They're having some trouble.
It's a fun team.
They're having some trouble in front of net right now. Not putting the ball in the back of the net, which is something you don't typically hear for a Leipzig team. A rare start for Poulsen. I'm guessing Rose was like looking for something. And Openda came off the bench.
He ain't it.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry, but Poulsen is not that guy anymore.
Never was.
Like, you listen, like, their last 5, they've scored 0. They scored 1 against Madrid, 0-0 against Berlin, like you mentioned. They scored 3 against Leverkusen, but we know that they are just not good defensively right now. And then they beat Bochum 1-0 to start the year. Offensively is a problem with with Leipzig. So we'll see if they can figure it out. Like, I just don't like Sesko, I think, has a very bright future, and I think Openda is very good. And obviously, Xavi is excellent. Other than that, though, the squad, I honestly am not that high on. It would probably be a different story if Openda was lighting it up already, like he was last year. I would probably honestly just like start glazing him, but um, I don't know, man. They just can't score, and it's hard for me to back them in any game when they can't put the ball in the back of the net.
Yeah, it's just
And they
bad.
don't create a lot of chances too. Like in this game, they really like they were the worst side. Probably could have lost.
This was a wide open game too. I watched majority of this game. It was wide open end to end too, and they just like struggled to create. It's just not good. Bayern, of course, just are blowing teams out. They blew Werder Bremen out. Kane with another goal to assist. He's that's 8 goals in 3 games.
He's cooking.
10 goal involvements at least in 3 games. Olise 2 goals, 2 assists. He's loving life in the Bundesliga. And they do look good. They do look good. Their first big game on Saturday. We're gonna reevaluate on Saturday, but I wanted to at least mention their good result.
You want to talk about an over?
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah, going to Villarreal, Barcelona.
Ugh.
Barcelona just blow out Villarreal. I thought this game would actually be really close, to be honest. After seeing how Barcelona played on Thursday, they are just struggling with depth. See Ter Stegen get injured mid-game. A lot of question marks, but no, they go and they win 5-1. Lamine Yamal with one of the most outrageous assists I've seen in a long time. Gets another assist here. Rafinha with 2 goals off, 2 goals late. Lewandowski scores 2 and misses a penalty. Pablo Torre goal and assist, and at the 10, absolutely cooking in replace of the list of guys who are missing from injury right now. I mean, the Barcelona train just keeps steaming ahead, and I mean, academy kid, vet, guy in his prime, it doesn't matter. This team is just going to win games.
Team's just a wagon. Lua, I mean, ageless, man. This guy just gets it done. To be like, can't believe Eric Bailly still has a role anywhere. I mean, dude, Villarreal implementing him and Logan Costa back there. That's not going to keep the ball out of the back of your net. So Lua was just torching them. 2 more goals for Rafinha.
On fire.
The guy's been absolutely on fire to start this season. 5 goals already.
Yeah.
And he had
living up to the price tag.
He had 10 all of last year. He has 5 in 7 games. So, if you're getting that kind of production from your wingers alongside Lewandowski, they're going to be a tough team to beat regardless. Like you mentioned, Pablo Torre hops into the 10, does great. I think typically that I thought I would see, I didn't even realize, honestly, that he was out for this game, but Fermin Lopez also got injured. Like, the amount of injuries on this team are remarkable, and they're just still killing teams. So, at full health, like Barcelona and Real Madrid right now for me are neck and neck. So maybe ahead. Yeah. So they've been a thrill to watch to start this year. Hansi's got them cooking.
Yeah, Real Madrid, they did beat Espanyol 4-1, but they were losing for 50. They got conceded in the 54th minute, and then they scored in the 58th minute, but they still, scored 4 goals in 30 minutes here. So it's not like it was a convincing performance at the Bernabeu.
They can't get off the bus, dude.
They can't.
I mean, their first halves this season have been so sluggish.
Yeah.
It's actually ridiculous.
Yeah, no, it's not good. Sorry, I don't know what's going on with my light here. It's pretty infuriating. But they did record 31 total shots and 14 on target. So
Espanyol, bro.
I mean, Espanyol's trash though. And yeah. The fact that the keeper had 14 saves, 14 shots against, conceded 4, and he still has a 6 rating. I mean, I feel kind of bad for the guy. He made an error to lead to a goal. That's probably why. But he still had 10 saves, double digits. So I'm liking Barcelona more, even with the injuries. We'll see if they can get healthy at one point. Will they be unstoppable? You'll have to look ahead for the El Clasico match to see when that is. That'll probably decide the title, both those games.
Would Carlo losing the league this year warrant a firing?
He's walking after this season, I think, in my
Oh,
opinion. I think
probably.
I think on his deal, this is the last year as well.
Oh,
so
okay. Wow.
I don't think they're going to be looking into his future anytime soon, even to re-sign. I just don't see that just in the cards. The guy is so old at this point.
He is.
So last week in September, the Madrid derby plays, and then they play October 27th as El Clasico, the first one. So, two huge results. We'll see what Real Madrid can do if they can, get back to their old ways. But we'll have to wait and see. In terms of Italy, we saw the Milan derby. I think we both tipped Inter Milan to win this one, but no, AC Milan win late. Great goal. Scored late. Pulisic opens the scoring again with another nice goal. He's the best player in Italy right now, hands down.
That goal was so sick.
Oh, wait, sorry to go back to Barcelona.
Mhm.
Ter Stegen out long term. Is it Diego Cochin's season? He's the third string goalkeeper, U.S. national. I think he might beat Inaki Pena out for the first spot.
That would be exciting.
This would be exciting. I just wanted to mention that. Keep your eye on if he's going to beat out Inaki Pena. I doubt he will, but it could happen. Going back to Milan derby, AC Milan, this game was wide open. Rafa Leao kind of dropped a stinker, and they still won too, which is crazy. Pulisic is being the player that people want Leao to be. And, for a U.S. fan, that's very exciting. It's also big as I did tip Napoli to win the Serie A, and your Inter are in sixth place, right? So, yes, Torino are in first place with 11 points right now, which is nuts. But Napoli are second and 10, and Juventus and Inter and Milan are right behind. So, Milan, Fonseca saves his job, probably. Inter continue to have a little hangover from last season.
Yeah, still haven't really kicked it into gear yet this year. That Pulisic goal, dude,
guy's special.
Oh my god, just took on the whole team for no reason. He very easily could have just slowed up and played a ball if he wanted to, but he took it almost from the edge of the circle from midfield, took on 3 different guys, splits the center backs, and tucks it away. That goal kind of gave me chills. I'm not gonna lie. Huge result for AC Milan. Manager literally saves his job, in my opinion. So the fact that I was not expecting that at all.
No.
That they were able to walk in there and pull out 3 points. I thought a draw would be a good result for them. And they walk away with 3. I'm sure Inter feels a little defeated after that. But maybe this kicks Inter into gear. Wakes them up a little bit.
Yeah.
You look at the table and they're in 6th to start the year after being in first literally all of last year.
With a 15-point gap, too.
Yeah. I'm sure their fans are probably letting them know, too. You lose the Milan derby at home, that's not going to go over super well. I wouldn't be shocked if Inter just started torching teams.
Mm-hmm. No, I think that's some good insight. Other results: Juventus tied Napoli. I was told this stat, so I'm going to go fact check this real quick. But I don't think I don't think Juventus have conceded a single goal all season yet.
Not in Serie A.
Yeah, other than PSV.
Yeah.
They conceded 1.
And that was a garbage time goal.
Yeah, have not conceded a single goal. They kept Napoli at bay here. It was a good game. I mean, 8 shots for each team, 1 shot on target for each. So this was an ugly game.
Exactly
but
how I thought.
Really, really good. I don't know, just a really good result for both teams. I'd argue. Probably better for Napoli than Juventus, but I'll take it.
Yeah, I'd say that Juventus probably would like the 3 at home more
true.
so.
Napoli are good though, especially against Conte. They know how good Conte can be.
Yeah,
Firsthand
he's
experience.
coming back to Juve, just doing his thing, getting his boys points. How he rolls, man. Kind of how I expected though. Like Mata was going to shut it down. Like you mentioned, no goals conceded in Serie A so far, which is a very good sign for this Juventus team, who before the year we had like zero expectations for. They're kind of proving us wrong right now.
Big time.
But I would say for sure if you're going to pick a side that would be more happy with this result, it would be Napoli.
Yeah, and then last result, Roma get back on track with a big win against Udinese. Fired De Rossi, like I mentioned last episode, they win 3-0. Dubovnik, Dybala, and Baldonzi all scoring. So we'll see. You know, they have a really big test midweek, so we'll see if the good vibes continue. But good to see that, you know, a team that I liked a lot to start the season is, you know, kind of getting back on track here. In terms of other big results, don't really see much for midweek. We do have Europa League, as well as, you know, the U.S. Open Cup final. LAFC plays Sporting Kansas City. I think we can both agree that LAFC should win that game, but they have not been playing well.
No.
So I think this is honestly the best time you could ever be playing LAFC for Sporting Kansas City. So we'll see how that game unravels. Columbus play Club America at home for the Campeones final. That I mean, I just fully expect Columbus to win on U.S. soil. So
They're so good, man.
Definitely would take a look at that. And then, yeah, I mean, got some good Europa games. We're going to give some picks here. Last week, Harrison went 3-2-1. I went, oh my gosh. I'm just running it. And I went 3-3. So, you know, we're still doing good here.
What a Palace United draw.
I know that was extra sharp from you.
Mid-ass teams.
Yeah, no, that game was awful too. For my first play, kind of carrying over from last week because it did get canceled because of rain. Still like Atalanta -1 against Como. Porto money line on the road here. Hoffenheim Michelin over 3. Spurs Karabag over 3.5, and Galatasaray PAOK over 3. Harrison, what are your plays?
Yeah, I got Barcelona. They play Wednesday against Getafe -1.5. Listen, I'm not hopping off anytime soon. Even though it is kind of it's just whatever. I say short week, but every week is a short week now in soccer.
Yeah.
Galatasaray over 3.
Wagon.
Just a lot of goals involved in their games, especially with Osimhen now. And I also have Spurs Karabag over 3.5. Like you mentioned, Spurs start burying their chances. There's going to be a lot of goals going on in their games. So
yeah, we do have
short card.
We do have some EFL action too this week. Arsenal, City, Liverpool plays West Ham. That should be a fun one. I expect Liverpool to handle business there, so you might want to look at that. But that is all for today. Harrison, as always, thank you for joining. We'll be back on Thursday for another preview, fantasy, and best bets for the weekend. And until then, you guys enjoy the European soccer.